Yeah. So look, Firebug is good. I agree. Firebug is the best. Fine. And what you can do is that you can identify the object using Firebug, and you can extract the identifying mechanism, and then you can use the same object in IE as well as Chrome. You know what? Whether it is IE, whether it is Chrome, you know, these are just browsers. Eventually, in most of the websites, in 99% of the websites, the page source remains the same. If the developer has written the code in such a way that the site opens up differently in IE, and differently in Mozilla, different in Chrome, then it's different. But eventually, if you look at the page source, hardly any developer will write browser specific code, but if you look at the page source, then page source is same for all the browsers. It will not differ. Right, and Selenium works on page source. So whether you identify the page source in Chrome or whether you identify the page source in Mozilla or IE, eventually it will work on all the browsers, because when you send a request to a server, in the response you get the page source. This is the HTML code you get. Fine, this is same for all the browsers, whether you open IE, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, any browser. Okay, fine. Now, talking about objects. Right, what do you mean by objects? In automation, everything is an object. For example, a button is an object, a link is an object, right? Uh, the text on the page is also technically known as an object. Fine, the browser is also an object. Okay, if you ever hear automation guys talking to each other, then you will hear a lot of times they talk about object is not getting recognized, object is invisible, object not found. So object is nothing but the general components on the page. These are technically known as objects in automation language. Alright, and hold on, I have this Excel file known as objects.xlsx. This will help you. Right, in this I have categorized the objects. Fine, for example, what are the generic objects which are present on the web page? The generic objects are, you have got links on a page, you have got text field on the page, you have got radio button, checkboxes, button, text, images, drop lists, right? So these are the generic objects which are visible to the human eye. Apart from this, web tables, frames and all, these are other objects which are not visible to us, visible to the normal human eye. Alright, now if you look at this, then each object has a set of tag name, mandatory attribute and optional attributes associated with it. Okay, for example, link has a tag name A, mandatory attribute href, optional attribute. I'll tell you. If you look at a text field like an input field, and hold on. For example, I investigate this input field on the page, text field. Always, all the text fields on every web page will have a tag name known as input. Fine. If you talk about links, for example, this is a link on the top on this page, say extensions or login. A link will always have a tag name known as anchor tag. In HTML language, anchor tag A signifies a link. Input tag signifies a text field. Fine. And if you hold on, Firebug is not closing. Like if you look at this, say any button or something, then it has also got this input tag. I have jotted down everything in the Excel file. Right. A link will always have a tag name A, anchor tag. A text field will always have a tag name input. Rather, text field, radio button, checkboxes and buttons, these have the tag names as input. Alright. Text, which is the normal visible text on the page, there is no specific tag for a text. It can be any tag like para tag, p, span, label, div. It depends, right? It depends. You cannot pinpoint that fine text will have this particular tag on the page, right? For images, the tag is img. For a drop list, the tag is select. Fine. So this is true for all the HTML pages in the web. Fine. If there is a select box, then the tag name will be select. If there is an image, then image will start with the tag name img. For example, on this page, this is the image for Mozilla, right? If you investigate this image, Mozilla image, then you will see that the tag for this image is img. Fine. Okay. Now each and every of these tags, I was telling you, like, they have got set of mandatory as well as optional attributes. Fine. There's a question being asked. What is the difference between text and Shiva, the thing is, a text means the regular text on the page. Text field means the input box. This is basically an input box in which you type in your username, password, something. Text is the regular text on the page. Fine. Now, if you talk about a link, then you will always find that href attribute is always there with a link. If you take up any link, for example, this is a link over here, and href attribute is present with this link anchor tag. Okay, fine. So hold on. Alright, so href is a mandatory attribute. It will always be found. Okay. In case of an input box text field, the tag name is input, but there is an attribute known as type equals to text, which will always be found with every input field. For example, if you look at this input field over here, then you see that type equals to text attribute is there. There are other attributes as well, like id is there, class is there. All these are not mandatory, they can be optional, but this attribute will always be found. Okay, right? Similarly, if there is an input tag and type attribute becomes radio, then it becomes a radio button. If there is an input tag, the type attribute is checkbox, it becomes a checkbox. Input tag name type attribute is submit, then it becomes a button. Fine. So the tag name is same for all four of these, but the attribute value, when it changes the type of element on the page. Okay. Text has got no mandatory attribute as such. The text cannot be categorized. Fine. And Snigdha, are you asking some question? Yeah, I'll come over to it. To validate the text, first you have to extract the text. Fine. To extract the text, you need to understand how Selenium identifies the objects. Fine. So right now I am telling you how Selenium will identify the objects on the page. Selenium identifies the objects based on the tag name, mandatory as well as optional attributes. Okay. So just be with me, you will come to know. Alright. So can we validate images with Selenium? How? You mean the internal contents of an image? Do you want to validate whether the image is entire image? You know, there's no way in Selenium. You have to use Java imaging API for that. That's a world in itself again. Okay, but in automation, believe me, we don't do that. Automation is done on stable things, right? We don't do these kinds of things in automation until or unless it is very necessary. Okay, automation is done during the regression phase. In regression, the project is already stable, so that's why. Okay, now uh, image will always have an attribute known as source, which will point towards the URL from which the image is loading. For example, this is Mozilla image. It will have a source attribute which will point towards this URL, like it is pointing towards this URL. And if you copy this URL, paste it here, you'll see the Mozilla image. It is loading up from this particular URL. Okay, so these are the mandatory attributes. With the select tag has got drop list has got no mandatory attribute. Okay, so these are the mandatory attributes which will always be present with these objects. Apart from these, there are some optional attributes like ID, name and class. These are the most commonly used optional attributes. Okay, they will always be they can or they cannot be present with the elements. If ID is present, if name is present, if class is present with an element, it becomes easy to identify the element using Selenium. But if it is not present, it's not meant that you cannot identify. You can easily identify. That's not a big deal. Okay, generally the most important and most easiest way to identify the element is by the ID of that element. Fine, so I'll talk about now how you can use the tag name, mandatory, optional attributes and all to identify the elements on the page. Okay, fine, right. Now if you let's take the Gmail example. We are going to Gmail and we need to write in an input field or something. Okay, so the function to identify the objects on the page using Selenium is very simple. It is known as find element. This particular function, find element, will go to the web page and find an element on various criterias. Alright, the criterias are specified in this. You write over here by dot. By is an internal class in Selenium in which you have got all the static functions, right. I'll open the class in Mozilla. Hold on, you go to seleniumhq.org, go to download section, open up Java docs, right, and scroll down. You'll see a class known as by. This is a very important class. It defines the various mechanisms to locate elements within a document, that means within a web page. Okay, so with Selenium you can use ID, you can use name, you can use tag name, XPath, link text, partial link text. So there are a lot of functions. Class name, CSS selector, ID, link text, name, partial link text, tag name, XPath. Fine. So there are various identifying mechanisms to identify an object on the page and to use it. Right. So hold on, I'll tell you. When you write d.findElement, it will go and find the element based on the criteria you do. By is a class, and in this class these are the functions, and all these functions are static in nature. Okay, so you don't need to create the object of the by class to access them. Remember yesterday I talked about static. Static can directly be accessed with the class name dot the function name. Fine, so that's what I'll do over here. I'll write by dot and specify the criteria out here. By the class name, CSS selector, ID, link text, how do you want to find an element on Gmail, right? How do you want to identify the object? So let's go to the Gmail page. Hold on. Yeah, let's go to the Gmail page. Oh, sorry. Um, just 1 minute. Right. So on Gmail page, you have this username field, and suppose you have to enter the username on this page. Okay. I'm taking a very simple example. Right. Later on, I'll take up complex ones as well. So if I investigate this username field, then it's an input tag, right, which is having an ID. The ID attribute is associated with it. Remember, in the Excel file I talked about, with the help of object and tag name, mandatory attribute, optional attributes, you can identify the object. The best is ID. If you have an ID of the element, it is good, because ID is, if the developer is good, if he is sensible enough, he will give a different ID to every object and not same ID to multiple objects on the page. Okay, so the ID of this field is email. Fine. And out here you have the criteria that driver.find element by the ID, and you can specify the ID out here like this, by the ID. Hold on. Email, which was out here. So this code will go and find the username field on the page, and if you want to write in it whatever you want to do, I'll just talk about it. So now, once I have written driver.find element by the ID email, fine, you can find the element, but how do you interact with it? Just finding the element on the page. Okay, now what if you look at the return type of this function find element? If you go to the documentation again, unfortunately by mistake I closed it. If you go to seleniumhq.org and the documentation, then inside the WebDriver interface you will find that the function is there, find element. Fine, it finds the element by the particular criteria, okay, and returns you the object reference of an interface known as web element. Now what is web element? Web element is typically representation of an HTML element, that is any button, link, text field, and all these fall under the category of web element in Selenium. Okay, and this interface provides functions to interact with the elements. For example, clear, click, fine, get text is displayed, submit, right? So these are some of the common functions which you perform with the element on the page. Okay, there's a function like over here send keys, which will use the method to simulate typing into an element which may set its value. Right, it's send keys function is to type a text inside a text field or something. Right, so the function over here find element returns you the reference of web element interface. Alright, so what you need to do out here is that you need to write over here, say web element username equals to this. You import the web element interface. You can use the option of Control Shift O of your keyboard and everything will be imported automatically. Okay, just hit Control Shift O of your keyboard. Control plus Shift plus O. If you hit this, then automatically everything is imported. Fine. Okay. And what you can do is that you can write username dot send keys hello world. Right. Similarly, I'm sorry for that background noise. Web element password equals to driver dot find element. If I have to get the password on the Gmail page, again the same thing. Password will also have, hold on that, yeah, password will also have, this is the password field, will also have an ID. Okay, right? So hold on, you can write over here, by the criteria, by the ID, give the ID of the password, take it in a web element password, and password dot send keys, you can put any password. So this is how you can interact with the elements, right? If I have to click on a link or something, you can write driver dot find element by the criteria. Now this criteria which I have highlighted over here, by the ID, XPath and all, or whatever it is, this criteria will change. Okay, every element cannot have an ID, although ID is the easiest, but every element, it's not necessary, will have an ID on this page, right? Okay, so for example, uh, uh, this text this text on the page, experience the ease and simplicity of Gmail everywhere you go. It's an H4 tag, but there is no ID. Fine, there is no ID, there's nothing. So you just cannot identify the objects with the ID. Shiva is asking a question. This is like descriptive programming in QTP. First of all, Shiva, don't compare Selenium with QTP. Um, Selenium is all about coding. Okay, there is no interface, there is no user interface like QTP. And yes, you can say that this is just like descriptive programming in QTP. In Selenium, you have to write all the code and all everything yourself. There is no other way around, right? So now this is an H4 tag. It's not got any ID or anything, right? So how will you identify this particular tag? Okay, so it's not necessary that every time you'll get ID or name or anything of the object. For example, out here in the username field, you were having the ID. You also had the name property, which was again email. You could also have used the criteria instead of by the ID. You could have used by the name. Okay, so it's different. Like it's not something which you can use every time by ID or by name, because every element will not have this. So what do we do in this kind of scenario? We go in for other identification mechanisms, which are typically XPaths or CSS selectors, right? Now let's talk about XPaths. What are XPaths? How they can be used to identify the objects and all on the page. Okay, look, to many people, XPaths, they get confused at times. Hold on. Look, the thing is, I'm sorry, a little bad cold and not so well today. XPaths, it's like the address of the element on the page. Okay, for example, in a city, every house has a house number, right? With that house number you can detect that house. Similarly, every component on the web page has an XPath, and that with that XPath you can easily identify that object. Okay, again, XPaths, they are nothing but they are combination of tag names and attributes, nothing else. Malini, are you asking some question? Okay, so hold on, I'll tell you what an XPath is. XPaths, they are of two types. One is complete or absolute XPath, and another XPath is known as partial XPath. Okay, let's talk about complete or absolute XPath. If you talk about this text over here, experience the ease and simplicity of Gmail, this one, fine. Then this text is in the h4 tag. This, if you observe carefully, then hold on, I'll explain you with the diagram. This h4 tag is inside this div tag. This div tag is inside this division tag. This division tag is inside this division tag. Right? You can keep on scrolling up, and in the end you will get the parent tag for everyone, which is HTML tag. Fine. So the XPath for this particular object can be formed something like this: complete XPath. Base is HTML tag. Inside it there is a body tag. Like this is the body tag, right? Inside the body tag there is a div tag, and you keep on traversing the tag names till the time you get the h4 tag. Okay, this is how you can make complete XPath. You don't have to actually put in your efforts in this. Fine, you can simply install something known as Firepath on the top of Firebug. I just explained you Firebug, right? If you install Firebug, then you will not get this Firepath. Okay, if you want to get this Firepath, you can go to Google and just type over here Mozilla Firepath. Okay, go to addons.mozilla.org and you can install Firepath out here, add to Firefox, and this will install Firepath. Okay, now in Firepath you select the option generate absolute XPath out here. Okay, and move your mouse over the over this text. Suppose you will get the complete XPath. Okay, you will get the complete XPath, that this is the XPath of the h4 tag. In the end you will get starting from the base, that is HTML. Fine. If you look at the page source, I'll explain you this XPath, how it is formed. Look, this is the HTML tag. Hold on. You can map. This is the HTML tag. Inside it, this is the body tag. Right. Inside the body tag, if you look, then there is a division tag. Right. You can map that division tag out here. This is the division tag. Fine. Inside this division tag, there are three division tags rather. Okay, you are interested in the second one, because if you go inside the second one, eventually you will get the h4 tag. That's why you have got div2 over here. Div2 means that go inside the second division. If there are multiple divisions under one division, and if you want to go inside the second one, you write div2 like this. Okay, and inside the second division you have another division and then the h4 tag. So this is how this XPath is made. I just wanted to explain you the criteria because at times people are not able to understand this number, what this number does. If there are multiple tags inside a single tag and you want to go inside a particular tag, then you can use this number and you can use this number to go inside that particular tag. Okay, I hope you got my point. I'm sorry. Right now, fine, this XPath is good. This is absolute XPath, complete XPath. This you can use this XPath in your code like this. You can write over here. If I want to get the text out of the element, you can write driver.find element by the XPath this. This is the XPath of this particular text. Experience the ease and simplicity of Gmail. And if I want to extract the text, I can do that. I can just hold on. I can write over here web element Gmail text equals to this. Fine. Then you can write over here system.out.println Gmail text. This is a web element from the web element dot get text function. Get text function will get the visible text. Okay. When you run this, so it will simply get the text out of gmail.com. It will open up Mozilla, it will navigate to it and get you the text. Just hold on. Right. You see that it is printing the text. If I want to run the same script on Chrome, I can replace the browser name with Chrome over here. So WebDriver will dynamically point towards Chrome driver here and the same set of functions will be executed. Look, find element, by all these, by the XPath, all these functions are there in Chrome driver as well as Mozilla driver as well as iDriver because all these implement the same WebDriver interface. Okay, so I'm dynamically opening up the browser here, going to the website and interacting with the element. I just need to change the browser name to Chrome now, and when I run this, Chrome will open up and it will go to Gmail, enter the values and all, get you the text. Again, the XPath will remain same. The XPath remains same. If you look at the output, then you will see that the text is getting printed. Okay, so it's just the browser which changes. If you talk about the internal components and the objects and all of the browsers, then they remain same. Okay, so you can detect the object on Mozilla and use on other browsers. But at times what happens is that your website only supports, say, Chrome. It never supports Mozilla. It never even opens up in Mozilla. There are websites like these, right? You cannot open the site in Mozilla. It's not supported. Suppose it's opening in only I or only Chrome. So what do you do? Okay, I'll talk about that in some time. Just give me 5-10 minutes. Okay, so I was at XPaths. Fine, I talked about complete XPath. You can use the complete XPath like this, but there's an issue with this XPath. The problem is that it is starting from the base of the document, that is HTML tag, and it is going till the end of the document, that is the H4 tag. Right? In between you have, before the H4 tag, you have the complete document from the base of the HTML tag. The problem is that what if something changes in the page tomorrow? Your XPath will go for a toss. A new division is introduced somewhere. If you look at this page, then we are starting from the base of the document to the H4 tag. In between, if something changes tomorrow, the layout of the page changes or anything changes, then this XPath will go for a toss. Okay, then this XPath will go for a toss. Right? So what you can do is, hold on, just a minute. You can use another type of XPath known as partial XPath. We discourage the usage of complete XPaths. That's the only reason. It's got a pinpoint accuracy. Okay, but every website is subjected to change, and your automation script should be written in such a way that even if the website changes tomorrow, it's easy to change your script. You should not be going in your script and changing each and every XPath and then falling into a trap, right? So it's not a good thing. So what we do is we use something known as partial XPath. You can get partial XPath from Firebug as well. I'll uncheck the option generate absolute XPath, right? And suppose you go anywhere, say I go on the page of seleniumhq.org and I look at the XPath of this element previous releases. So it is giving me this is the partial XPath. If you look at the Gmail page, then this is the partial XPath. I'll copy this XPath and I'll tell you how this is formed. It looks something like this: double slash star, starting from double slash star. Double slash star means any object on the page. This basically means any object on the page. If I write double slash star @ID equals to email, that means an object on the page whose ID is email. Fine. If I write like this, double slash input, then this means all the input tags on the page. And if I write double slash input ID is equal to email, then this means input tag with the ID email on the page. Okay, look, the thing is, you can write this XPath or this XPath. This one which I have highlighted out here is more generic partial XPath for the email field because it's an input tag with ID email. Fine. So this is the XPath for this input field. You can use this one as well, but this means the any object with ID email. This means an input tag with the ID email. Right. If I look on seleniumhq.org, if I look at the XPath of previous releases, then this is the XPath. Now how this XPath is formed? Look, Selenium, what it does, it goes to this link anchor tag. It finds that this anchor tag has got no ID. Fine. So it moves up. It moves up. It looks at the li tag. It looks that fine. Li tag has also not got any ID. So it moves up. It goes to the li tag is present inside ul tag. Right. I'll just hold on. I'll draw it and explain it. So from anchor tag, it goes to li tag. From this li tag, it goes to this ul tag. Now this ul tag has also not got any ID. From this ul tag, it goes to this li tag because this ul is present inside the li tag. It's also not got any ID. Then it goes to this div tag. Sorry. Then it goes to this ul tag, which has got the ID nav. So that's how this XPath is formed. Any element with the ID nav is this one. Inside it there is an li tag, which is this one. Inside it there is a ul tag, which is this one. Then inside ul tag, you see there are various li tags. There are 4 li tags. Under this ul tag, there are 4 li tags. You want to go inside the second li tag, which is this one. And then there is a link inside the second li tag, which is this. Are you getting this point that how this XPath is formed? The partial one. If anybody is having any question, please let me know. Okay, so for partial XPath, it tries to make the XPath on the basis of ID. It never starts with the base of the document HTML, rather it is starting from this particular ul tag. Okay, so you can use this kind of partial XPaths as well to identify the objects. Hold on. li2, but li2 has got no attribute, right? It's not got the ID attribute. At the rate ID is, it's used with the ID, right? Yeah, the star over here is actually for this one. Just a minute. The star, this star is actually for UL. Okay, no, don't do that. Okay, it is only used in the beginning, but we don't even use star. It's only Firepath which gives you a star. What I recommend people is that instead of star, you should actually use the tag name UL. Okay, fine. That's a better practice. So this is how you can use your XPaths. Fine. Anybody with any other question regarding today's class, anything regarding the course and all, please let me know. Um, yeah, Shekhar. No, you don't have to download specific version of browser. For ID for Mozilla, don't work with the latest Mozilla version. Download 22 or 21, it will work. The latest versions are actually not supported because Mozilla is changing very frequently, right? That's the reason. Right. So just to use little older like 20, 21, 22, and it will work. Do one thing, Shaker. Ping me your email ID. I will give you a code. Just try to run that code. I am sorry I didn't get the code for you today. Just ping me your email ID on chat. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, WebEx chat. You can ping me your email ID. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? I can't understand you, Snigdha. Can you repeat? Yeah, this is the weekend class. Yes. Weekday has already started actually, and they are already in the middle of the course. Around 11 classes are over for that. On 28th, I'm starting the new batch for weekday. Yeah, I've already started it, and around 10-11 classes are over for weekday batch. I just take one class in one day, so the next one is on 28th. Okay, so right. Um, Pardon? It's 1 hour a day every day. No, weekend classes for 2 hours, approximately 2 hours. Right. Any other question from anybody? I hope you understood this concept of interface, because this is important. Okay, you have interfaces so that you don't end up writing. Suppose this interface was not there, bank interface. What would have happened? HSBC class would have implemented its own function. Citibank would have implemented its own function. So you as an end user, you won't be knowing anything. But now you as an end user, you know that the same set of functions will be there in every class. And that's actually what happens in Selenium. In Selenium, we have the WebDriver interface, and all the classes implement that interface. So whether it is Android driver, whether it is iDriver, or whether it is even HTML unit driver or event firing driver, remote web driver, whatever you are using, all the drivers will have same set of functions as defined in the WebDriver interface. Okay, so yes, Snigdha. Yes, in Selenium everything is inbuilt. Okay, yeah, you need to understand the API and use it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything is inbuilt. You just have to use the inbuilt classes. That's why, that's why I told you concept of object oriented programming and all are important. Okay. Look, there are a lot of things as we proceed with the course. I'll tell you, right? It's very difficult to make you understand right now, but initially starting with it, if you talk about the WebDriver architecture, then everything starts with the WebDriver interface, and that's what I have started with. Later on, we'll use alert, mouse, this, that. There are a lot of interfaces. Okay, even web element is an interface. Okay, so that's how. No, 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 it's not deprecated. You go to the download page and you open this empty.txt over here. Okay, open this file. In this you will have a URL. Copy this URL, go to this URL, go to 2.4, the latest version, yeah, and download the file. Okay, make sure the latest version of Chrome is also installed, right? Naveen, yes, you will get the recorded videos today. I was not able to send the recorded videos for yesterday because it took a lot of time for me to convert them to MP4 format. Okay, Seema, uh, I ran into issue with I. Look, I am using i7. That's the problem. I can't show it with I. Okay, I'm using i7. But whatever is the issue, my email ID is. This is my email ID. Hold on. Please note it down. You can email your issues on this ID, or you can email me at selenium underscore training at qtpselenium.com. Okay, Shekhar, it's better that you send me the screenshot of the error on this email ID. Okay, that will help you. That will help me detect it. Okay, can you please resend it once? Yeah, yeah, just resend it. Yeah. Okay, so these are the email IDs. Okay, another question being asked is send keys only method we use in Selenium? Send keys is the only method to type into an input box. Okay, send keys is the method to type in or to select from a drop list. Can you please automate an application with Selenium during the course? Look, that's the point, right, of this course. I will be automating an application, but if I cannot jump directly or to automate an application, if I directly jump over to the framework and start teaching you, then I'm damn sure half of more than 70% of the people will not be able to understand a single word. So I start with the basics. So till next 11 to 12 classes or 11 to 12 hours, I will not take up a project. I will just talk about the basics, various exercises, examples, all the kinds of scenarios which you can get with Selenium, and then I'll take up a project. Okay. Send keys is reliable. I never saw it failing, Shiva. Okay. Any yeah yeah Viral. Yeah, during the course I gave lot of assignments I give, but I start giving the assignments after at least 6 to 7 hours of training. Okay, I give. Yes. All right. Even in class, I'll make you do exercises. Yeah. Malini, yeah, tell me. No, just go to tools. Hold on. Go to tools. You'll get Firebug somewhere over here. Okay. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Anything? Yeah. Yeah. Yesterday's recording, I will email you. Fine. I was not able to. I was able to convert them to MP4 format, but it took me a lot of time. So today also I'll work on it and I'll convert. Okay. So fine. And today's recording also you will get. I'm ending up the session. Like I'm ending it 15 minutes earlier. Not so well today. Okay. But I hope you got the point. Fine. How the interfaces and all are used. How you can dynamically change the browser and all everything. Right. And how can I pay for the training? You can pay using your credit card, or I can. If you are in India, then I can. Yes, you will get the receipt. If you are in India, then I can also give you my bank details. If you are not in India, then you can pay using PayPal. I'll give you the card payment link. These are the two ways you can pay me. Fine. Yeah. Okay. So in case you want to, yeah, PayPal uses credit card. I'll give you the credit card payment link. On PayPal, you can simply go on the PayPal site, enter your card details and pay. Okay. Um, Fine. If you want to join the course, you can go to my site QTP. Golam, just be online after the class. I'll tell you. People who had joined yesterday, I hope everybody got the username password. Fine. You can go to the site qtpselenium.com, click on the contact trainer link, and just send me a message that you want to join the course, and I'll give you the instructions. When you click on contact trainer link, you will get a form on the next page. Just fill out the form, mention your correct email ID and contact number. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Vijay, you wanted to ask something?